The administration is moving quickly to fire thousands of government workers, specifically targeting employees hired within the past year or so. Here are just some of the places where broad cuts are underway. Termination notifications began en masse yesterday, with many people getting the news via pre-recorded videos, group calls, and in unsigned emails. Unlike many longtime workers who have more job protections, the 200,000 people still in their probationary period have few options to appeal their terminations. NewsNation's Joe Khalil live for us on Capitol Hill. And Joe, more notifications are going out today.
Yeah, and look, we knew this was going to happen. We had heard that it was going to happen, and now it is here. Yesterday and today, President Trump's Office of Personnel Management issuing thousands of notices, mostly by email, some phone calls to federal workers across several different agencies saying they are now laid off. Now, we don't know exactly, Nichole, how many people have gotten layoff notices and are losing their jobs. But what we do know is that the Office of Personnel Management says that all of them were part of the probationary period. What that means is they were within their first year of working for whatever federal agency they are working for. That's some 210 or 220,000 federal workers that fall into that category. These cuts were very broad. They hit the U.S. Forestry Service, Department of Education, General Services, Treasury. You see them there. Several other agencies that had to let some of their employees know they were now being laid off. The NFFE, which is a union that represents federal workers, they say they are now actually suing to try to stop this in the courts. You've got another labor union, the AFGE, calling the move illegal, and their president, Everett Kelly, releasing this statement, which says, in part, these firings are not about poor performance. There's no evidence these employees were anything but dedicated public servants. They are about power. He says they're about gutting the federal government, and he goes on. Look, the other side of this is that if you had been to any Trump rally in the campaign process, if you were there to hear Elon Musk talk on stage alongside Donald Trump, this was largely promised and projected for months that they were going to do this. That is what Doge is all about. In fact, back in January, when Elon Musk was at the Capitol meeting with lawmakers, he put out a goal for Doge to get rid of something like 2 million federal workers. Now, since then, Doge has walked back that goal as maybe a bit too ambitious. Nonetheless, when you're hearing about thousands and thousands of federal workers being let go as a means to cut the budget, to reduce the size of the federal government, this was a campaign promise. So now we are seeing it. We just talked to a lawmaker not long ago. We'll turn some of that sound around for you in the next hour. But basically, Republican lawmakers are saying it may be tough. They have sympathy for these federal workers. But at the end of the day, this is, according to Republicans, what it will require to get the size of the government where it needs to be.
All right, yeah, so, we're hearing from Republicans there in Washington, but, how are our lawmakers, particularly in the states that did vote for Donald Trump, reacting to these latest cuts, especially if it's impacting their constituents?
Yeah, we imagine that there are going to be a lot of offices all around the country that are going to get phone calls. And look, it's not just going to be these agencies, because remember, the next thing that Doge says it has its eye on in terms of cuts is the Defense Department, which means the Pentagon, which also means federal contractors in a lot of red states that supported President Trump, where there are military bases, where there are military facilities that manufacture weapons and those kinds of things. So if those job losses are included in these federal agencies, then again, there are going to be a lot of Trump-supporting, Trump voters in states all across areas that were heavily supportive of him that may have layoffs and big numbers. And again, you can imagine lawmakers' offices are going to be getting phone calls about that.
All right, Joe Khalil, live for us there in Washington. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.